Let's talk about The Sea Beast, Netflix's latest aquatic adventure. I'm gonna chat about key plot details, giving my honest thoughts and feelings of the film, meaning that there will be spoilers ahead, so you have been warned. I was invested in The Sea Beast right from the very opening shot. Those water VFX, dearie me. Until a human character appeared, I thought they'd stuck a random live action segment in there. It's masterful work, and the animation throughout is wonderful. I think there's a really interesting contrast between the realistic detail of the world and the cartoonish nature of the people and creatures within. At first, I thought that level of contrast was a little bit off, but I came to enjoy it the more I saw it, especially with the plethora of beasts we encounter. Because that's the tale of this here nautical adventure. Sea beasts are tracked down and killed by the hunters, the most glorious job in the world. They work alongside the royals, and in a long history of pride and honour, have hunted many fearsome foes for the king and queen. Our featured hunters here belong to the good ship Inevitable, commanded by Captain Crow. Crow's main right-hand man, Jacob Holland, voiced by a not-so-insultingly bad Cockney Karl Urban, is himself a famous hunter. Because the hunters are glorified and mystified so much, they take the attention of a young orphan named Maisie, whose parents were hunters that died at sea. She wants to follow on to her hunter lineage, and thus, after a brief introduction and rejection from Jacob, stores away on the Inevitable, and from here on out, an epic adventure ensues. The Sea Beast essentially feels like an animated Pirates of the Caribbean spin-off, and the opening act absolutely gets you on board if you're a fan of piratical action. A good chunk of the beginning is a hunt for a green sea beast, with some very nicely executed action across the board. In fact, I think that despite being fairly limited throughout, the action involved all moves ingeniously. A particular favourite segment for this is when Jacob, Maisie, and a lance are tied together with ropes. The lance is stuck inside the Red Bluster's nostril, and thus the characters swing around, and when doing so, the physics have a continuous action and reaction, pushing and pulling people depending on where the weight and momentum are. The entanglement becomes a mechanism that is utterly fantastic to behold. Of course, I've jumped the gun a little bit there talking about the Red Bluster, so the deal here is that the royals decide they want to step up the hunting levels by introducing a state-of-the-art warship and an admiral to command it. Plus, they want to discontinue the Inevitable and the hunters themselves. But a contest is posed that Captain Crow and the admiral can race to capture and kill the Bluster, which makes for a tantalising narrative thread to grab onto, if only they didn't let it go. You hardly ever see the admiral and his warship from here on out, and a lot of the chasing of the Bluster is hardly seen too. Most of the film is focused on Jacob and Maisie, who become separated from the crew. They presented this challenge as if the film was going to be like the third act of Jaws, when really the entire chase hunt thing just didn't properly come to fruition. It could have been a "you have one last chance to catch the Bluster or the hunters are gone" narrative, and you'd have got the same end result regardless. However, I must say I do love the time we spend with Jacob and Maisie. Urban and Zaris-Angel have a great vocal chemistry with one another, with the characters being so well written and both bolstering each other for a fun partnership. There's a lot of humour involved between them, particularly on Jacob's side, that provided some big laughs here from the dry comedic tones. The entire cast does a great job, but really it's Urban and Zaris-Angel who hold the fort, particularly Zaris-Angel. She came to fame playing Matilda on the West End, and definitely has a bright future ahead of her in any medium of the performance arts she chooses to grasp. And if he puts some effort in, that Karl Urban guy might have a cool career too. The Sea Beast sets sail as if it's going to be a fun, adventurous romp, which for the most part it is, if perhaps a little too long, but in the back end of the film we get some really important moral lessons, as films of this ilk often have. It makes the movie feel rather Pixar-ish. So the Sea Beast's moral conundrum here is that Maisie's interest in Jacob, Captain Crow, and the Inevitable comes from her love of books, reading their history, how they're presented as great fighters, taking out multiple beasts in quick succession, dominating the oceans, and the general presentation for most of the film is that hunting these beasts is great. However, a crossroads occurs when Maisie and Jacob fact-check one of the books and realise that it's not quite true to real life. Yet in a brilliantly weighted bit of dialogue, Maisie says that the books will outlive both of them. So in effect, history isn't strictly written by the victors, it's written by the publishers. And if you can't change people's lives during your lifetime, winding up with different content for those books, then whatever's left in black and white after your death will stand. And so all of the books that are commissioned and distributed by the royals in this film contain falsehoods which wrap up the sport of hunting in golden ribbons. But in reality, having befriended several sea creatures, including the Red Bluster, Maisie realises that they have kind hearts and are peaceful beings, and in fact it's the humans that have started the war against them and created this long rivalry. The books are a lie, and you can either live the pages of those books and repeat history, or make a stand against history and decide for yourself in the here and now. I really love that. It makes me realise that often people make decisions in their lives based on what people in the past did in theirs, and though that kind of wisdom can be at times helpful to draw upon, ultimately the choice comes down to you and how you want to live your life. I'm really glad they did a 180 here to restore peace between the people and the creatures, because if they kept on hunting at the end of the film, it wouldn't send out the best lessons of morality to the younger viewers. On top of this important symbolic discussion regarding history and publications being manipulated by the writers, there's also a simple yet effective motto uttered throughout: live a great life and you'll die a great death. Simple as that. Make the most of your life and make it great, and you can be happy and fulfilled when it's all said and done. A succinct yet powerful slogan that I took with me from this film. The Sea Beast is a lot of fun. It's bright, colourful, vibrant, nicely animated, a solid cast of characters, and a good deal of take-home topics come the final credits. I do think it was a little bit cumbersome in parts and could have easily shaved off another 15-20 minutes for a more compact telling, and the whole chase battle with the Admiral subplot served absolutely no purpose compared to how it was pitched to the audience. But overall, this was a refreshing watch and potentially superior to several of Pixar's attempts from recent years. But what do you lot think of the Sea Beast? Let me know in the comments below, and while down in those murky depths, if you want to keep the peace between man and beast, then a cheeky sub will ensure the blusters can swim freely. I'm Connor from Unleash the Ghouls, and thanks for checking out this honest review. Cheers out!